everyone. Welcome to Leaders 101, where Be Elite podcast students interview the leaders here at Elite Academic Academy. I'm Armando, and joining me today is Tina. I would also like to welcome Miss Ashlea Kirkland, Chief Student Development Officer at Elite. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. So I'll tell you, well, first, I am a mom and I have two children that are just so much fun to be around. And one of them is my daughter, Reese, and she is 16. And I have their pictures, their school pictures taped to my desk so I can stare at them all day. And then this is my 2-year-old, and her name is Everly. So I have two girls, they're 16 and 2, so a big age difference. So that's the first thing about me, is that I love being a mom and I love watching my girls grow up and do ambitious things. Tiana, a lot of my older daughter reminds me of you. She likes to draw and paint, and she's really great at that. And a little bit about me more personally is that I'm married, that I love to wakeboard, I love to snowboard, I love to travel, and of course, eat delicious food. And then I have a little dog named Bachi. He's not around here, otherwise I'd pick him up and show him to you guys. He's a little fluffy white dog. And then some other things about me professionally is that I went to college at Cal State San Bernardino for my bachelor's degree, and I earned my bachelor's degree in creative writing. And I took a lot of early childhood education classes because I thought that I wanted to be an elementary school teacher, but I actually ended up being a high school teacher and I loved it. I did both. So I taught kindergarten to 2nd grade for about 4 years, and then I moved into high school. So I taught high school English, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade for several years before becoming an assistant principal. So I went to Cal State San Bernardino, got my bachelor's degree. I went to Chapman University and got my master's degree in teaching. And then I got a second master's degree in educational administration too. So when I became an assistant principal, I worked at a school in Coachella Valley. It was so much fun. Every day was something new and different, and lots of puzzle pieces and problems to solve and exciting things to do. My favorite part is always being around the students, because the students are fun and innovative and exciting. And I just love connecting with students. So that's a little bit about me. And now I work at Elite. I started at Elite as the virtual director before we even opened our doors. So I worked for the Department of Education in Orange County for a little bit, and then I moved over to Elite and started at Elite as the virtual director, and then I moved my way over to the curriculum, or to the career tech ed director, and then moved my way into the Chief Student Development Officer role. So that's a little bit about me.
Why did you choose to join Elite?
That's a great question. Our CEO actually knew a friend of mine, and she was looking for some employees that she knew had credible backgrounds. Hey, these are great people. This is probably somebody that you might want to talk to and interview. So I went and met with our CEO as well as our CEO of our back office. And when I met them, I was inspired. So it was something that their vision for the school was something that they had set in their minds, and I was behind it. Everything that they said about what they want to create and the culture they want to create at our school and the programs and all of these things for students in the non-classroom based world was something that I felt was needed for students, but also it was inspiring, because as a classroom teacher myself, it's almost the way that I used to teach my classroom. I used to let my kids sit wherever they wanted, as long as they were talking and collaborating and learning. And I was the facilitator. And I loved when kids would ask questions or be say, I don't understand this. And, you know, we always had this classroom saying in my classroom, we'd say, we're like the Olive Garden. When everyone's here, your family, because that was like the Olive Garden slogan at the time, because I never wanted anyone to feel as though they couldn't just ask a question. You're here in school to learn, and the idea is to learn and create and innovate and be curious about things. It's not to show up to a classroom and know everything. So when our CEOs came to me to tell me about their idea about the school, it was something that I fiercely believed in. And so I decided to take that chance. I always loved innovating and running and managing my classroom because it was something that I could control, right? And in a bigger school district, it's hard to make change very quickly because you have so many kids, you have so many programs, so many politics and things like that. So coming to Elite was somewhere where I knew it would be a smaller school and our ideas that were really great for students could happen faster than it could happen anywhere else. So I was really excited to be part of that change for students and provide opportunities for students to grow and learn and be curious and have that individualized, personalized education experience. So that's what made me jump over to Elite. It was just something that I believed in, the vision, and I was really excited to be part of it, especially from the beginning.
What do you do as the chief student development officer?
So as the chief student development officer, I wear a lot of different hats. I run our career technical education department. I manage teachers. I go and I manage curriculum. I find really great curriculum providers to bring into our school and programs, or I help our teachers that are highly qualified teachers write and improve curriculum. For our high school students, I make sure that our courses are A through G aligned, meaning as students take these A through G courses that they're able to transfer directly out of high school into a Cal State or a University of California so that those align. I am members of our community college consortium meetings. So I go to those to make sure that what we're offering at Elite aligns with the college and or career. A lot of writing of grants. I do a lot of our business type of paperwork, our LCAP, deciding how money is going to be spent on what programs it's going to be spent. I bring in all of our clubs and manage our clubs. I also help manage our marketing department as well as our social media and our website. You name it. I kind of have my hands in everything, a little sprinkle here and there, and a lot of paperwork too, to make sure that we have our funding and that we are compliant and with the state of California for serving students.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I do comes back down to making sure that students have what they need to thrive and succeed.
I just wanted to know how, like, what direction you first wanted to, like, what made you pick, like, a teacher instead of, like, anything else?
Oh, like my career? Yeah. So, you know, I always loved growing up. I always loved books. And I remember being young and I have a lot of siblings and we would always play house and I would set up a library or I would be the teacher. And so I'd invite my brother and sister, oh, come to my classroom. And so I'd always try and be teaching them. But it wasn't until I probably went to college when I started thinking about really what did I want to do, because I was into a lot of things, fashion, makeup. I love stuff like that too, art. But really what it came down to is I love kids. I love being around kids. I love teaching kids. So I love seeing students learn and then the ideas click in their mind. I also like when they're being innovative and they think of things that I would never think of, or things answers to questions that I would know, but maybe they have a different answer that just makes more sense. So I just loved the human interaction between that, and just really fostering an environment for students and to grow. I feel like I do that at my own house with even my own children. Is I love watching them grow and giving them the tools and opportunities to open their eyes and experience the world. So I would say it wasn't until college that I started doing some early childhood education classes, and I had to do an internship inside of I was at a junior college and they had a preschool there. So I had to go do these hours at the preschool and work there for one of my classes. And I loved it. I loved reading the stories to the kids. I loved listening to their questions, watching their development, even the little ones learning how to walk, and how does all of this just turn into like an amazing human being. So I loved that part of it. And the social part too, just being around people and different types of people. I feel like people are very interesting and you can learn a lot from different cultures and different ideas, different ways of thinking. So that's kind of how I got into teaching. And the management side of me, maybe because I'm a little bit bossy. So.
Okay.
So do you look up to anyone who inspired you or gave you motivation?
Yes. So there's quite a few people. When I was younger, I looked up to a lady that was in my church, and I just thought she was so awesome. I used to babysit for her kids, but she had a career that was really successful and she was a wonderful mom. So I always thought that that was really amazing that someone could have both, that they could be a mom and have a very successful career, and how she managed both. Another person that I really look up to is my mom, because my mom is so kind. And she listens to everyone, and she's empathetic, and she's very giving and caring. And those are qualities that I will always want to have as a person. And my mom also was very inspiring to me too, because she had 4 kids within like 4 years. And so she had all these little kids. And I remember she decided she wanted to go to college to get a degree. So she was raising 4 kids. She went to a junior college and she got a nursing degree. So she became an RN, a nurse. And I remember I was 8 years old and went to her nursing, where they pin the nurses, they give them their pin. And I remember just looking at my mom thinking how amazing she was. But I also remember times where she would just be like trying to drop off a paper at college and would have all 4 of us kids in the back of the van. And it, with lots of little kids, it's chaos. And so I remember her just being very inspiring. And then it wasn't until later in life, when all 4 of her kids went to college, that she decided, I think I'm going to go back to college and get my bachelor's degree. So my mom went back when all of her kids were grown, and she went back and got her bachelor's degree. And she didn't have to do that, but I think that she was also maybe inspired by her own children, because we provided our own college. She wanted us, of course, to go to college, but we worked our way through college. And so I think she thought, well, if my kids can do this, I can do it too. And so I think we all inspired each other a little bit that way. Educational wise, I look up to our CEO, Meg. I think she is a phenomenal leader and businesswoman, and she has the right heart, because every decision that she makes is always in the best interest of students. So I would say those 3 people, I really, they've all had a different impact on me in different ways in my life. And then one other person too, his name is Hector Valdez, and he and I, the 2 of us were assistant principals together. And so we just lived at the high school together. You have all the sports you go to, you have all of the discipline that happens, planning of the schools, all of the events, managing of teachers. And he really brought me under his wing and taught me the ropes. So as we were going through it. And so I really appreciated him and look up to him as well.
What is the CTE and why does it matter for students?
Yes, so CTE stands for Career Technical Education. And so back in the day, students used to, in a high school, you would go one of two pathways. You would say, oh, I'm going to go to college, or no, I'm going to go to career. And a lot of the kids that were like, oh, well, I don't want to go to college, I only want to learn career trades, they would just go that path, right? So both of my grandparents were actually career teachers growing up. So they were also an inspiration to me. My grandpa was an auto body teacher, and then my grandma did the retail store. So they would train kids in high school. How do you work at a retail store, or what do you need to become a mechanic? So that was really inspiring because I would always go visit them at school. But now what they've done in education is they've said, all of these skills can be combined. You don't have to pick right away, right? As students, you guys are still young and you're still deciding, what do I want to do? So having the opportunity to explore those skills is really important, because you are able to take these career tech ed classes and you're still able to meet the requirements to go to college, or you could decide to go into a career path, or you could go to the community college and get a certificate. So career tech ed really combines that academic piece as well as the vocational job piece. And either way, it just gives students the opportunity to decide, is this something that I'm even really interested in? So, a lot of kids go to college and they change their majors because they're like, this is nothing that I thought it would be like, because they never had that experience. And so career tech ed provides that opportunity for students. So say students are like, oh, I want to work at a marketing firm, or I want to work for YouTube or be an influencer or any of that like social media stuff. So if they took the marketing courses in our school, then they would get a chance to see, what is that like? What is it like to budget things out for advertisements? What is it like to create a catchy advertisement? How do I use these tools like Canva or Adobe or the business suite of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and things like that? Or we have kids that are interested in going into early childhood education, so they can start taking these childhood classes where they learn all about the development of children. And so they're kind of like, ooh, this is really interesting, or not. But either way, that they can use those classes to bridge that gap of going into college or going into a career. And a lot of career tech ed classes have the opportunity for students to earn certificates. So you can earn like a CPR certificate, and maybe you can earn a few college credits where you can start getting internships to places, companies, and working there too, even as a high school student or right out of high school. So career tech ed is basically, there's 15 different sectors, and I think 58 different pathways that you can choose from, where you're getting all of these industry experiences in high school. So you can decide that if you want to kind of carry them on and go further with it or not, or try something new. So it just gives you an opportunity to learn those types of skills. But the most important thing that I think about career tech ed is it doesn't matter, because later in life, you have many years before you graduate high school or even college. No matter what, it gives you the soft skills, the transferable skills, meaning that those skills that you learn, the soft skills, can go into any industry that there is. So soft skills that we're talking about would be how to interview really great, how to communicate really well with somebody, how to write a written email communication, because you don't want to write an email in a company email and make it sound like a text message or have a negative tone in it, right? How to deal with conflict with people. How do you do conflict resolution? So all of these little skills that you're learning in these career tech ed classes can be transferred to any type of job. So those are really important. And it also just gives you experiences to have under your belt and explore different career options.
So our last question here. What have you learned from your time spent here at Elite?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I would say my time here at Elite has taught me that personalizing education is really important because no two people are alike, meaning we all learn in different ways. We all have different interests, but at the end of the day, we can all get to the same goal by going whatever way makes the most sense to us, right? The other thing that it's taught me is that you don't have to build really great relationships in this day and age. You don't have to be sitting in the same room as that person. That you're able to hop on a Zoom, you're able to hop on the phone, you're able to communicate an email or whatever it may be to have a relationship with somebody and really show that you care for them and that you're there for them. So my experience with Elite has taught me that students, no matter where they are, that they can learn, and that the traditional setting is kind of not really where it's at anymore. Students need the opportunity to get up, to move, to have flexibility in their day, to do a little bit of work and then maybe go outside and kick the ball around for a while and then come back in. That having that flexible day in your schedule as a student, I feel like gives the opportunity for students to learn more and understand more, and also really hone in on their interests and talents too. It gives students the opportunity to maybe paint in the middle of the day when they're feeling most inspired instead of sitting and waiting for a bell to drive their schedule. So that's really what it's taught me too, is that the flexibility in the student's schedule has done tremendous amounts of growth for students and learning. So that's what it's taught me too.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ms. Kirkland. It has been a pleasure, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you for having me. You guys are wonderful.
And thank you.
Be sure to subscribe to the Elite YouTube channel for more updates on Leader 101 episodes.